This conference will now be recorded.
Yeah, I think we're good, man. Thanks.
Okay. Um, I think that some of you guys are already having IBP exposure. And they have gone into IBP, and some of them you have got IBP hands-on. So what I'm going to show here is most of the things to you guys are already aware, but since this is an overview session, and in the overview you generally need to cover everything. So I'm going right from the start, covering everything in the overview. So let's start. Give me a sec. Okay. Okay, so what we are going to cover today, it's a brief, integrated business planning overview. We'll see that how SAP IBP journey has been till date. The overview of single planning area. So when IBP was introduced, IBP 6.0 was introduced, or when they created this planning area called SAP IBP 1. Initially, back in October to December 2015, this was originally called a single planning area. And then later they coined the term unified planning area, and that happened in before the release of 6.1. So that was way back in you can say February 2016. And then we would be covering end-to-end process flow in IBP. And then if you have any questions and answers, I would happily take it up. So let's quickly start with the IBP platform and general overview, what it is. So in IBP, as you know, this is a cloud-based platform, and we have different modules in here. So one of those modules is SAP IBP Supply Chain Control Tower, where you have end-to-end visibility and monitoring, and you can see your alerts, create different cases in there. So it is the global visibility. If you want to compare it with APO, in APO you can compare this with supply chain engineer. But in APO, if working with supply chain engineer is not very easy, it's very cumbersome. But in IBP, when you want to work with supply chain control tower, it is hugely flexible, and you can do tons of things which were not possible earlier. Then you have IBP for sales and operations planning. So if I compare today's IBP world with the APO one, this is the module which was totally missing in APO. Because whenever you used to do planning in APO, you can do the planning, but you cannot do the planning based on SNOP cycles and all those things. So you cannot schedule your jobs based on the SNOP cycles. You cannot, have all those meetings. What you used to do for demand review, supply review, or executive review, and then the management review. So all these things are now possible in SAP IBP, but these are the ones which are missing in the APO world. Just shout out if I'm going a little fast, or if you couldn't understand anything in there, just let me know. Then I'll repeat once again.
This is okay.
Okay. Okay. Then we have SAP IBP for demand. So this IBP for demand, it is new functionality. They have developed this particular thing from bottoms up. It's right from the scratch. The important part in this particular demand is that they have included one of the very key features, which is called demand sensing. In APO world, demand sensing is completely missing. You cannot do demand sensing based on the existing sales orders, say for next 4 to 6 weeks, and then try to generate some sort of pattern based on which you can replenish your stocks at different customer nodes, or if you want to directly send it to the retailers. So that is one of the key part which was missing in APO, and SAP has now tried to cover that demand sensing part in IBP. And then usual.
So Kapil, can you repeat again? I didn't get that.
Okay. So demand sensing was one of the important pieces which was missing in APO completely. And when you're working with demand sensing, you generally do the pattern recognition for next 4 to 6 weeks. And based on this pattern recognition, you try to replenish your stocks at the retailers, or point of sale, point of sale nodes or to the customers directly. This demand sensing is generally executed in very, very short-term horizon, say 4 to 6 weeks, not more than that, because it is not designed to go for pattern recognition for more than 4 to 6 weeks of period, because it goes up to day level of planning. And then if it goes up to day level of planning, then the amount of data generated in the system is going to be huge. And that was one of the biggest problem when we used to work in APO days, because we can so the granularity what we used to have is the day, and then we aggregate or roll up the data up to weeks or months, and then try to see different planning. I forgot what you used to say there in planning view. Planning view we used to say in IBP planning books. We used to say different planning books or data views. So hope this
Planning book and data views.
Yeah. So hope this clarifies you.
Yeah. So for that, for the point of sale information, is it requires special integration like smart data integration, or is it how does it? You are going to cover that little bit later in the demand sensing.
Say we would be, when we would be doing actual demand sessions, then I would be covering it in more detail.
Okay.
But to answer your point, SDI is not used to integrate your demand sensing data from the point of sale one at this point. You can use CPIDS, but not SDI. SDI is totally a different ball game, which I will touch base when we will be talking about the order series planning in SAP IBP. Okay. And one more point which I forgot to mention is this SAP IBP for demand is all time series based planning, as it was used to be in the APO days. Going forward is a new module which is called as SAP IBP for inventory. Now, this is a module which was completely missing in APO, and if you want to do some sort of inventory planning in APO, you can do it. So so there was no special algorithms for doing the single stage optimization run or multi-stage optimization run in APO, but in IBP, SAP has bridged that gap by introducing this module for IBP for inventory. And then, you can do single stage optimization run, which is equal to safety stock planning, what we used to do in APO days. But multi-stage inventory optimization run was completely not available in APO. So multi-stage inventory optimizer, it is very complex. Even till date, when I'm reaching out to SAP guys to get the formulas defined behind the screen, they don't release that particular information very easily, or they don't release it at all. So they don't tell you that what are the formulas, how system is calculating it. They will only tell you, okay, this is the input, this is the output, this is what you are going to get. That's it. So you have to make out by seeing the results that the input what you have given to it, and then what output you are getting. It's all based on the functional calculations what you can do outside of the MSIO algorithm. Any questions on IBP inventory?
No, good.
Okay. Moving forward is another module which is called as SAP IBP for response and supply. Initially, when they started working on this IBP platform, if you have worked on IBP 4.0 or IBP, if you have seen IBP 5.0 or any previous versions, it was only used to call as IBP for supply. Response was not there at all. In 2016, when 6.0 was released, they come up with this new module which was called response. But even at that point, it was only called as IBP for response. It was not called as IBP for response and supply. So at that point, SAP identified their modules like IBP for demand, IBP for inventory, IBP for response, and IBP for supply. So they identify it with a different module name, IBP for response. But as it progressed, initially what they did, their idea was that they want to merge the SAP IBP planning area, which is time series based planning area, with response planning area, and response planning area was SAP 7 at that point in time. So they created a new planning area which was called as SAP 7.4. Now SAP 7.4 contains the characteristics of both type of planning, the time series based planning where you can run heuristics and you can run optimizer, and then it contains the order series nature of the planning world as well, where you can see the order level detail, you can generate the pegging information in there, and thereby you can generate the gating factors in the response side. But that approach of SAP failed. Reason being the integration. It is hugely difficult to maintain the integration between SAP 7.4 and your connected ECC or S4 systems, because there was no way you can differentiate between order series in the interface, that whether you are going to update the order series data or how you are going to update the time series data. It was very difficult. So they scrapped the idea. Then they came up with a different module, like as a different planning area, like SAP 7, which was originally there, and they continued with that particular approach. For supply, there is another planning area which is called SAP 4, and SAP 4 is based on time series nature of the IBP applications, and thereby what they did, now they have started identifying SAP IBP for response and supply together. They are not differentiating it. They are saying it as in one go, IBP for response and supply. I will cover this particular part, when we will go a little further in our discussions. Hope up till this point, things are clear to you.
Yeah.
Right. I wanted to touch base here on one very important fact here, is that when we are in SAP sales and operations planning, we can only work with the heuristic there. You are not authorized to execute, though we have got the access to optimizer, but we cannot execute optimizer in SAP sales and operations planning. So if you want to run optimizer, you need to buy a separate license for supply. Similarly, when I say control tower, in control, I mean, so there are some apps like custom alerts. There is an app called, say, create cases case app. Now these apps, you cannot use these apps when you are working on normal sales and operations implementations, or you are doing an implementation in demand, or you are doing an implementation separately on IBP for supply. You cannot use custom alerts. You cannot use cases there. You can, I mean, so there are many things which you cannot use. Those things are to be used only if you have bought the license of supply chain control tower. If you don't have the license of control tower, you cannot use custom alerts or the cases functionality which is available in IBP. To be honest with you, these are the biggest win factor for IBP implementation, because these things are not there in APO at all. In APO, there were alerts, but those alerts were highly cumbersome to work with, because it pulls up tons of data, and then you don't have connectivity. Okay, if you need to go somewhere, you can click on it and go directly at that particular data point and solve your problem. But in IBP, if you get a custom alert, you can create a navigation path from there, from where you can directly open ECC screen, or you can open S4 screen, or you can directly go into your Excel UI, or you can directly approach your web UI even. So these are all new approaches which SAP has recently introduced in 2005 release, which were not there earlier. But I'm just trying to set the context that these are the new things which are coming up in IBP if you are working with custom alerts or cases.
A quick question here.
Yeah.
Quick question, sorry, Kapil. So how do you mentioned the alerting system can be manually consumed, or can you automate those alerts to do a specific action in SAP back again?
Okay, so if you see IBP doesn't work the way APO works. So what happens is that if you have configured an alert, right, you need to see that particular alert somewhere. So think from the user's perspective, or a person who is using the IBP system day in, day out. On Sunday, say the planning run is over, and there are tons of customer alerts which are generated, right? Very next day in morning, Monday morning, the user steps in his office and he wants to see, okay, what are my alerts generated? What is my capacity thresholds if they are breached? So what he can do, he won't do, when we would be doing implementation, we would be defining dashboards for him. On the dashboards, we can call up this customer alert app, and he would be immediately notified if there are any alerts generated. And if he sees, okay, these are the alerts, capacity alerts where I need to work on, he can either create a case or he can, assign a jam group to that particular customer alert, so that the person responsible who needs to resolve that alert can go into the system directly and resolve it from there onwards. So it doesn't, the system is not disconnected here. Like, it's not like you are on web UI and you are now going into Excel, because both are different system. It's not like that. So even if you are on web UI, you can click on Excel, you can click on an alert, and when you are in the alert, it will ask you, do you want to navigate to Excel? You can go to Excel directly on that particular data point because of which that alert has generated, and you can resolve it there. Hope this answers your questions.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
So I have one side question though. So you said the optimizer still it is a separate license, right? It doesn't comes with SNOP. But it's if someone buys IBP demand, is it comes with is it a package inbuilt with demand, or still we need to buy separate?
No, they have to buy. IBP demand is completely different.
Okay. Okay.
Can you hold on for a minute? It's my son.
Sure.
I just need to reply him. Give me 1 second. Yeah, I'm sorry. So to answer your question, if you want to run optimizer and you only have demand, you need to buy the optimizer license. Without that, you cannot go and without that license, you cannot go and implement optimizer for the client.
Gotcha. All right. Thanks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Any question, or should we move ahead?
Yeah, we can move next time.
Couple, one question. Is it this IBP for inventory, is it has any touch point with the existing SNC?
SNC.
Hmm.
SNC is very different, man. It is
Okay.
it is very different.
Nothing to do with collaboration, inventory collaboration, nothing like. Only it is just it just touch only the safety stock planning of APO.
It is the safety stock planning, but the safety stock planning is deeply rooted in here, because in APO you cannot do multi-stage inventory optimizer run, wherein you can look at the target service levels, and based on your fill rates, you won't be able to generate the proper safety stock levels. Okay. But in IBP, because you have got a new algorithm which is MSIO, and based on this MSIO, you can now generate the plan which is based on the target service levels which you need to achieve at any given point in time. And it's not mandatory that when you are talking of target service level, that you are only looking at the customers. This MSIO also look at internal service levels as well. So when I say internal service level, means that from node to node. So when I say node to node, means that from my plant to a warehouse. So if I need to check, if I have maintained my internal target service levels as well, then MSIO do take that particular thing into account, and then gives you the safety stock recommendations on different nodes of the supply chain.
Okay.
Going ahead. Hey guys, can I take a break for 20 minutes in between, say around 4:45?
I'm okay with that.
And then, I'll come back and then we can resume our discussion on this one. Okay?
Sure. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
also
actually, I
gives
need
some
to
breather
drop
time.
my
I can
son.
refresh myself. Yeah.
Actually, I need to drop my son to some place. So it's 20 minutes come and back, and then I can, rejoin back again.
Okay, you want to drop now or just?
No, not now, not now. I would be dropping at 35 minutes from now. Okay?
Okay, go ahead, please. Yeah.
Hold on, let me just tell him that, I'll drop him. Give me 1 sec. I'll be just back. Okay, so are we all there?
Yep.
Okay, right. Okay, so let's move further. Now, this IBP platform is based on unified SAP HANA data model. Okay, and now because it is on HANA, and one of you people is already working on HANA, and he knows that it's all column-based structure, not the row. Like it was not row type of database when it used to, as it used to be in case of Oracle. So it is very fast because the approach is column structure like here. So it is quite fast. Moving on. Okay, now we'll quickly see IBP evaluation. So you see that they introduced IBP in 2011. I remember I got a call at that point in time to go and join this training in US, but because of my current commitment at that point, I couldn't go. But they officially introduced SNOP 2.0, then 3.0, then 4.0 in 2014. 2013 and 2014, that is where the actual transition happened. In 2013, when it was SNOP 3.0, I worked on it on SP3, but it was with it was very small implementation what we did in Saudi, in Riyadh. And at that point in time, this sales and operations planning was on-premise. It was not a cloud solution. In 2014, when they introduced 4.0, at that point in time, it became cloud-based solution, and it was not on-premise. And we faced huge, pushback from client, because clients at that point in time were a little reluctant to go on cloud, because it's all sensitive data for any particular business to share on cloud. So they were not very, very, very optimistic with the cloud solution at that point in time. But sooner, as the time progressed, more people started coming towards cloud and dumping their approach for the on-premise systems because of various factors involved, like hardware maintenance or cost involved for the licensing and all those stuff. So they moved on to the cloud-based solution. So 2014, they come up with 4.0. 2015, they come up with 5.0. 5.0 was crap. Nothing worked in there. What I heard from SAP guys, they were not happy with 5.0 solution. And then they created 6.0 in 2016. I remember till 6.2, it was, they used to say it as SAP IBP version 6.2. But afterwards, they started introducing a nomenclature which was similar to S4 HANA. So, and then they started terming it like 1608, 1611, and then 1702, 1705, 1708, 1711. So what they are now doing, after every 3 months of quarter, they release a new version of IBP with new functionalities in there, with the kind of roadmap they have defined. That okay, this is what they want to bring in for the next quarter. So every quarter, new releases come, and believe me, if you lose pace of what is introduced newly, it would be very difficult for you to pick up at later point in time that okay, how IBP is working. So you have to be very, very thorough that what they have introduced, So my suggestion to you is that whenever they are doing this IBP webinar after every quarter, do join that particular webinar, because it gives you a lot of insight of new functionality what they have bringing in. Based on my experience, I will say that when I started in IBP, it was not it was flexible, but not as flexible system as it is today. And as so they are now moving to towards the uniformity of data. And you might have seen in the new planning area releases, they have adopted a unified model rather than it was having a different type of model which was earlier. Like all different planning areas were having different master data types. SAP 1 was having master data type starting with SAP 1, but now it is everything is starting with IBP. So there are different unified model approach what they have adopted. So I have not updated after 2018, 19, 20, because I couldn't find time to update. Earlier I was updating everything. But when I would be sharing this presentation, then I'll try to update the things in there that what they covered in all what they majorly covered in all these years. Any questions on this, or can we go forward?
So the upgrade happens every 6 months. That's what you said, right?
No, upgrade happens after every 3 months.
3 months. Okay. So then they change the version.
They change the version, yes.
Okay.
So right now we are on
2005 is current, right? 2005?
No, it is 2008. The latest one is 2008.
Okay.
Yeah. And we are doing an implementation based on 28 only right now.
So is it so rapid that changes are between 2005 and 2008? That
huge changes are coming in, huge. Say that's what I'm saying. If you lose track of what new changes are introduced, probably you would be late in the game. You have to keep track of what new things they are bringing in. I tell you, based on my experience in past, when they used to have this attribute transformation earlier, it was working differently. But in the recent releases, they have completely changed the way attribute transformation works. And it took me 2 to 3 weeks to understand that what they have done, because I lost the pace, I lost the touch. Okay, what they are newly introducing, because of my commitments. So you have to be very proactive when it comes to new changes what they are bringing in IBP. So my suggestion, go and attend every webinar what they come up with. Hope you might have seen the SAP site where you can see all the webinar details and everything.
Yeah, Kalai, and we are a closed group, so Kalai is distributing that content to us. So thankfully, yes.
Okay, great. Going forward, okay, this is a very high level architecture. What you see here, it's like on the left hand side of the screen, you have different applications available. You have ERP, CRM, BPC, APO, BW, or any other third party system, which can be Oracle based, or which can be Microsoft based, anything else. All other systems can be integrated to SAP IBP. And then I have put files here as well. Now this is very important to note that in IBP, it's not mandatory for me to have web methods type of interface to bring into picture. I mean to say that when you're trying to generate an integration, it doesn't necessarily to be having seamless integration. What you can do, you can get the data out of the source system and save it in the Microsoft Excel, and those Excel files are, those text files would be picked up by the CPIDS interface, and then it will update the IBP system accordingly. But believe me, if you approach this way, it is not very easy to maintain the data. You have to do tons of different activities. You have to be very, 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 very proactive and diligent to work with file-based interface. A web interface is always good, but a web-based interface, but the file interface is little cumbersome to map. Mapping is easy, cumbersome to to look after, because there are so many changes going on. Okay, so on the left-hand side, you see that there is web services for HCI. Initially, it used to called as HCI, but now it is now not called as HCI. They are calling it as CPIDS, which is Cloud Platform Integration for Data Services. And then this is out of the box integration. But this CPIDS, I will say it is very primitive. I'd say I won't say that it is a very robust tool. I will say that if you're working in CPIDS, probably it can make you go nuts sometimes because of very simple. I mean, so the way the UI is or the way you are writing the syntax in there, sometimes it can screw up the things, and you won't be able to find out what you have written and what changes somebody else has done. So it is difficult to track things in CPIDS, but I mean, say if you see today's world, that is the only way of integrating between different systems to IBP. So CPIDS, we cannot today, do away with that. Then you have SAP IBP, you have models, engines, we have SAP attributes. So attributes are nothing. If you can compare attributes to the fields in APO world or ECC world or S4 world. So all different fields which can be available for a product, they are configured as attributes in IBP. Then you have your key figures. And here the beauty of IBP is that the key figures, what you are creating here, all the calculations for the key figure, all the calculations you want to write, you will write at the key figure level. You don't write calculation based on some planning view or data planning book or data view level. You write the key figure, you will write the calculation at the key figure level. Then the very important thing is scenario and simulation. So scenario and simulation was not possible in APO. Simulation was possible, but it was very cumbersome to work with simulation in APO because you need to do version copy, then you need to define the jobs, and sometimes, based on my experience in past, there were organizations where these jobs used to take say 5 hours to run, and now if you're sitting in the executive review meeting and your CEO says that no, I need to change say this demand quantity from X to Y, and I want to see the results. So you cannot wait for 5 hours to give him the results. So now in IBP, it is so flexible via use of these scenarios. What you can do, you can go and change the demand quantity as what your CEO said. And by the time he finishes his sentence, you are available with your results. And you can share the results immediately to him and tell him that, okay, next seasons you are going to generate Y amount of profit over what has been suggested previously because now the demand is changed. So these scenarios was not there earlier. So this is something very new in IBP. Then you have your predictive analysis. Now predictive analysis and I mean, so when I say predictive analysis, so in IBP demand, there is a new feature what they have come up with, which is called as time series analysis. So that is something which is done based on the predictive analysis. And then there are new algorithms what they have brought into IBP, which are which are having machine learning capabilities in there, and that's why it is all predictive in nature. Heuristics and optimization is a key to the IBP algorithms. Then you have process workflow and alerts. Now, it is very important to note that in the APO days, you cannot create process flows when you're working in SNOP or you're working in individual demand or supply cycles. In IBP, all those things are possible. So I'll talk on this process workflow during our detailed sessions. Then you have your SAP Jam or social collaboration. So SAP, their social collaboration tool is Jam. You can also integrate other social collaboration tool with IBP, but SAP always recommends to go with SAP Jam. Then on the right-hand side of the screen, what we see, there are different UIs which are available for you, which you can use to work with. One of the UI is Excel UI. Now, you go in the world and talk to the business community, they love to work on Excel. They really like to see that, okay, how I can bring this data back into my Excel, do slice and dice and create different reports charts based on their needs, and then they present it to their higher management. IBP, it is based, the UI is based on Excel only. Unlike other days, earlier days, we need to install SAP GUI for APO, and then it is not very user friendly. It is rigid. You cannot do slice and dice with that. But in Excel, you can do tons of things. So I'll walk you through about the Excel part a little bit from now. Then the second thing is Web UI. Now, Web UI is a place where you do all the configuration activities for IBP. The key figures, the planning areas, everything is, or the planning levels, they are all configured in Web UI. Web UI is a place where you will define all your alerts. When I say Web UI means it is a web user interface. So it can be based on any browser. You can access this on Mozilla. You can access this on Google Chrome or Microsoft Edge. Anything what type of browser you are working with, this is accessible on all different platforms. And in here, you create dashboards. You create different charts to publish on dashboard, and you can create your supply chain network even on this Web UI. And then this very recently, or I won't say very recently, a year and a half before, they introduced a new way of seeing the data, that is using web platform. Now you can create your planning views in Web UI only. Instead of going into Excel UI, you can create your planning views in Web UI. Now this is very, very helpful for all the sales guys who are always there in the market. Now what happens if they are in the market and they are roaming around? They are always carrying their their handheld devices like mobile phone, or they have their iPads on their hand, and they are going to different customers, talking to them, getting their feedbacks. They are trying to launch new products, talking to different distributors, retailers, trying to get their feedback. Now every time they cannot go into Excel and give their feedback in there. So there was a requirement, there was a need that, okay, for these type of guys, how can we make use of Web UI so that they can access the planning view there and enter the data immediately without going into Excel UI? And that is a new functionality what SAP has brought a year and a half back. Earlier it was primitive, but now there are many things which are possible using Web UI interface. I will walk you through this Web UI interface, going a little deeper detail. And then on the right hand side of the screen, so you see that the point of sale data, the different demand planning system, the financial data, different supply chain planning systems, and executives can join or can access all this data from anywhere. Any question on this particular screen till now?
I have a question on the web GUI. So is it something interact? I mean, how frequently so we can get data? Is it something? Is it a tile based, or just it's connected to just a direct web?
It is not. It is tile based. I can show you quickly if you want, but I just don't want to take you in more details of it.
Yeah, I saw the webinar on the recently. Basically, so whatever we do in the Excel sheet, we can do it in the tile, right?
Correct. You're right.
They keep adding those features, but it is the same thing, like web. Instead of doing it in Excel add-in, we're doing it in the IBP itself, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So,
okay,
Kapil,
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I have one more question. What is the expectation of the CPI here for a IBP consultant?
Expectation of?
Yeah, so is it they need to know the CPI module also, technically hands-on to be on the to navigate on the functional side of IBP, or what is the, because we do have technical people helping on CPI, right?
CPI, yes, you're saying.
I mean, it is a responsibility of IBP consultant, or we need a cloud consultant for CPI to handle?
For CPIDS, you're asking, right?
Yeah.
Yes, CPIDS, yeah.
Okay. See, to me, I'm a functional guy. I have never done a BAP. Okay. Now, if you ask me, can I configure CPIDS? Yes, I can do that. Have you worked on BW side ever? If you have worked on BW, you might have seen, there is when you are creating all the BW info cubes and everything, you are dragging and dropping the stuff. It's like that only.
Yeah, that's my understanding. I did recently a couple of CPI changes. I didn't see any major complexities, but however, I just wanted to, if you go for an implementation, right? So maybe in an estimation process, do we need to include a cloud expert, or it is part of kind of an IBP consultants,
No, I mean, see, I'm working as a solution architect, so I need to, give the feasibility of this CPIDS stuff, that how much cost is going to involve, how much time you are going to take to build it. I don't go to the technical consultants for their help on it, because they may not be able to help me, because it's all functional thing which I wanted to get from them, right? They are only building the system, and I know how easier it's is to build the interface on it. So if I give you an example, if I want to build an interface for a product, right, I just give him the fields. Okay, these are the fields which I need the information into, and these are the fields which are need to be mapped to IBP, this attribute, right?
Yeah.
I just give him this particular information, and then it's merely a matter of couple of days, and he can create their interface.
Yeah. Even the data store and other setups, and I see it is a straightforward, right? Connect with the or connect with the IBP. So
yes, it is. It is. The only time I feel that we require some technical help is when you're trying to do some sort of date calculation in there. Like if I give you an example, when you are working in ECC or S4, you would be creating your purchase orders, right? Now, sometimes what happens, the purchase order can go back in date. When I say back in date, means that their delivery date is already passed, and you have not yet received the I'm sorry, received the goods back into your warehouses. So in S4 or ECC, it is still an open purchase order. Now, when you are in IBP, you have populated this purchase order. I say that, I give you an example. Say if today is 26th of September, I say that I have a purchase order which has got delivery date of say 20th of September, right? So I uploaded that purchase order on 20th of September in IBP. But when you are running the algorithm will never see the data in past. It will run from today's date onward. So you will miss out on that particular purchase order. So what I need to do in CPIDS is to tell CPIDS is to update these type of purchase orders on current date. Now what CPIDS has to do, whatever information is coming from ECC, it has to see that, okay, is the delivery date in the purchase order is less than the system date. If it is less than the system date, then bring that particular purchase order quantity to today's date and update IBP respective key figure. So these are type of things, the complexities where I feel that you require the technical people help. But if it is straightforward, I can do it, you can do it. Anyone who is functional knowledge, who has done APO implementations, he would be able to do it very easily.
Okay, got it.
All right.
Okay, but to be honest with you, these all things would be things of past in 1 or 2 years in time, because SAP is working on push based integration model now.
Yeah, I think that is much better. This is completely doesn't make sense. When you're working in the same environment, why do you want to extract and load somewhere and do that calculation when all that algorithm can be done in each? That's what I was thinking about. That's good.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, so see, I tell you, I mean, say if you see it from business perspective or my perspective or your perspective, SAP is late in the game. They started developing this web-based application in 2011. They should have started these applications, developing these applications, say in 2005 or 2004.
This is data redundancy. This is data redundancy. This is data redundancy, right? You're too much of data in too many places, and it's it may be obsolete. That may not be current, and you have to run the CPIDS jobs frequently to ensure data is current. So yeah, I think what you say is right. I believe that should happen soon.
Yes. You see, what I have seen till date, working with CPIDS, you are, for stock data, because stock data is updating every now and then, right? You cannot wait for stock data you cannot wait one day for stock data to be updated into IBP system. But again, the point is, if the stock data is updated in IBP system, how frequently you have scheduled your job to pull the data? Are you, pulling it after every 15 minutes or after every half an hour, right? But then the point will come that, the data, what you're seeing in IBP is not real data. It is already past data, which is redundant for me, right? I agree with you. I mean, so they have to come up with some sort of solution where they are having seamless integration as what we used to have in core interface days. They are working on it, and I'm 100% sure that next year, I just don't want to commit the timelines. I know they are working on something. I think in 2105, they would be releasing some sort of functionality for live data integration in IBP and ECC or S4 system.
Yeah,
I'm not committing any date at this point, just mentioning what I heard from SAP.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's move forward. So as I mentioned earlier, there were different interfaces what SAP has brought in IBP world. So one is the web UI, and this is the web UI interface what I'm showing you on screen here. So you see that in web UI there are different tiles. You can call the tiles to do specific activity what you want to perform. So in the model configuration is a place where I am doing all the configuration related activities for IBP. All the planning areas, all the key figures, attributes, planning levels, everything is configured here. Okay. Now on the right hand side of the screen, you are seeing a couple of screenshots. These are very, very recent screenshots. I mean, say, you see that the date here is 13th July 2020. So it is very recent screenshots from the implementation I am doing. I just hidden the names where I'm working with on these particular things because this data is client sensitive. So I just removed everything. So just kept the relevant data which you are seeing here. Okay. On the right hand side, you're also seeing supply chain network. So this is how you will see supply chain network in IBP system, and that's all web UI based. Any questions on this sheet till now?
So the top one is DP, right?
Yeah, that is from the DP side. So, and you remember I was mentioning earlier the process templates. So you see that that thing what we are not able to do in APO world. You have first your forecasting, then you do forecast review, and then you do release to supply planning. And it says you percentage completed, how much activity you have completed at the percentage level. So there is a way to track all the activities. So these things were not there in APO world earlier.
Question here, Kapil. So these charts, okay, these are all bar charts or pie charts. Are there any limitation to the way that you can represent the data? Why is not SAP can be integrated with much better tools like Power BI or Tableau or any beautiful software that you can display the data and slice and dice information, right?
Yeah.
But do you have that flexibility here in IBP?
Yeah, these charts and dashboards are hugely flexible, very flexible.
Okay.
Very, very flexible. But those tools, if you talk about Tableau or other tools, right? They are designed to do that thing.
Right.
They are not designed to perform algorithm. They are not designed to perform demand planning, but they are designed to perform the reporting stuff, right?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. The representation, they are already championed there. And this is a data crunching tool or algorithm tool. And do you see that there would be a future integration to those where the data will be pushed and that can be represented there in a beautiful way? I'm just thinking that where we are heading.
That's what I'm telling. I mean, you cannot compare it with Tableau today. SAP is doing a catching game.
Yeah, I see.
You cannot compare it with Tableau because Tableau is designed to do these type of reportings, right? IBP is not designed to do reporting, but they are catching up. And it's not that you cannot do, you see, how beautiful the chart looks like here, right?
Right. Yeah, that's what. I mean, you mean Excel is okay. They are only bar charts. I mean, you cannot do ton of. I don't know. I'm
In
not.
Excel.
Yeah, the Excel, the charts that are on the top column, top side of that report. You can do few things, not too much. I don't know. I still have to learn. So, but this one, these charts on the top, can we represent in different ways of that
Yes,
information?
any way you want to represent, you can represent it here.
Okay.
All the charts which are available in in Excel, you can use everything here.
Okay.
I'll come to that point later on.
Sure.
Okay, but what you are seeing here, these are specific to Web UI part. See, what was missing in APO? A dashboard. I cannot see data, the planning run what you have done. Okay, I say that my forecast for next month cycle, how it's looking like. And if I want to compare that particular forecast with, another, or I say the upside forecast I have created already, how do I compare it? And if I need to see that particular value in some view, where do I view it? It was not there in APO. But in IBP, you can do, version comparison in Web UI. You can save the data in different versions, in different scenarios, and you can compare the data on Web UI. So those things were not possible in APO days. So it is, see, if somebody asks me to go and do a demo to a client, I never do demo on how the forecasting is running, how the algorithm is running, because that is something which is IBP is supposed to do. It is already understood fact that if you don't do that, then what's the point in buying IBP? Then why I'm showing it? I don't need to show it because it is already there in. What I want to show is something which was not there earlier in any of the SAP planning system, like your Web UI. And in Web UI, you have all these dashboards, how you're working with dashboard, how you're calling the customer alerts, how you're creating a case, how you're interacting with JAM, how you are doing exceptions-based management when you are using your dashboard on Web UI, right? So these things were missing earlier, and I do demo based on this approach. What was not there earlier, I only show that.
Right. Yeah.
Because that is the only way you can win customers. That is the only way you can showcase the strength of IBP. Because I believe me, IBP is getting huge or tough competition from Kinexus, right? So they have to be very, very proactive when they are approaching a customer to showcase them what positive things they can do, what are the things the customer can use to get better results of out of IBP. Okay, let's go ahead. Right. So coming here, what you're seeing here is the Excel interface. So I will go a little deep down into Excel interface a little later. But here on screen, what you're seeing on top is an IBP add-in. So this is how an add-in would be installed in your Excel. You would be seeing a separate tab. But now, this screenshot is from year 2015. So that's why you're seeing all the colorful, icons in here. But the new 2008 Excel add-in, or rather, I think they brought the new color combination to the icons, or new icons to SAP IBP in 1711, and after 1711 that is continued. Now these icons are, the names are the same, but the icons are changed. And on IBP, you are not seeing IBP; it is called as SAP IBP now. The other thing, there are two type of VBA, two type of templates are available on the SAP front. One is formula-based template, which you are seeing on the screen right now. This is formula-based template, and then the other one is VBA-based template. So generally, when I do the implementation, I use VBA-based template more, because in VBA-based template, you can have different different type of charts you can pull in, and then you can work with it. I'm not saying you cannot pull different type of charts here in formula-based templates. You can also pull in here, but in VBA, you have got more control over the data rather than this formula-based chart. Because if somebody accidentally change the formula, it will screw up the entire planning view.
So quick question here. So when you go for implementation, do the customer come up with their own templates, or do we sell these standard available templates? How do you? Yeah.
Customer comes up with their own template. Okay, this is now, that's what I'm saying. This is a new way of seeing SAP product. This is new way of implementing SAP products. You go to customer, you ask him, okay, how you want to view your template, how you want to view the data, because in APO world, data view and planning views are fixed. You cannot change it. In IBP, you can change your planning view as and when required, as and how you require, how you want to color your planning view template. Every user can customize based on his own need.
Okay.
Does this answer your question?
Yep. Thank you.
Hope, Amisha, this is what you was looking for. If not, you can ask your question once again. I'll try to answer it again.
Yeah, I think I'm good. Yeah, for now.
Yeah, right. So in today's world, VBA-based templates are approached at most of the places. Just a word of caution here. If you have downloaded Excel version 2005 onwards, all the previous versions file will not work in the new Excel add-in. So you have to change all those templates to the new Excel add-in versions. Okay, so there are available VBA-based templates on GitHub. You can download it from there and you can install it. So it would be easier. Okay, going forward. So what do you see?
We have the latest best practice. I forgot the version. What is the version, Kailash? Is it
2008?
2008, yeah.
Okay, so coming on to, we are going a little more into IBP Excel add-on, that what you are getting in here. So you see in this particular ribbon, there are different things available. So this is the place where you log into IBP system, right? This is the place where you create all different planning views you want to create. This is a place where you generally execute your algorithms or you save your data. So when I say execute your algorithm, this is a new way of working in IBP. In PPDS, you can execute the algorithm on the fly, right? Without saving the data, you can come out of it. But in SNP, you can't do that, right? In here as well, if you see the simulate button here, if you drop down here, then you would be finding different algorithms available. And you can run any algorithm, any copy job you want to do, anything you want to do, you can simulate it without saving the data. You can analyze the results, and then if you want to save it, you save it. If you don't want to save it, just come out of it. Your original data would be restored back. So that is the place. Yeah.
When the data is, when you do the simulate, does the data go back to IBP and crunch and then display back on Excel, or does the calculation happen on an Excel? This is a basic question I had.
No, calculation. Sorry, go ahead.
And the other question is, do we ever mess up with the core algorithm of how the data is crunched? Like how we have function modules and user exit, do we ever do something of that sort in the core algorithm to modify the content that it does, or we just don't ever try and put our fingers in there?
Okay, first part of your question, when you say that the data, if you do simulate, does the data go back in the HANA and then do the calculations and then come back? Yes, it does the same way. You save say you entered, say, some value, you entered, say, independent demand, and then you have executed the this simulation here. What system will do, it will take that independent demand, which is not yet saved though, into the algorithm, which is at the HANA database level. Then it will do all the permutation combinations, all the jugglery, what it needs to do. Whatever results it get, it populates back on Excel screen. Then until or unless you hit save, that data won't be saved. If you click refresh, then whatever you have done would be returned back to the original state. Okay, that is first part of your question. Second question you asked is that can you influence any of the IBP algorithms? No, you cannot influence the way we used to do, writing functional, user exits or any different things we can do in APO world. In IBP, you cannot do that. If you have if you have a request to do code modification, you have to reach out to SAP and they will do it for you. But they have not released the code to general consulting organization to go in there and change it as and when required. You cannot do that.
Okay.
Does this answer your question?
Yeah, because I do not see the nodes, right? So just this configuration is a plain and simple. I was wondering, like, if somebody has to modify something like BADI or BAPI, I was having that question from a long time, that how do we even go and attempt to do any modification?
You don't need it. You don't need it now. I mean, say in IBP world, you don't need it because it's so flexible. You can do everything by the way of key figures. Okay, I ask you a question. Sorry, I don't get your name. What's your name?
I'm Sudhakar here.
Sudhakar, quick question to you. In APO world, how many key figures you have implemented in a demand planning area?
No, I'm completely new. I'm completely new. I don't have any knowledge on APO. Sorry. I know what is a key figure, but yeah.
Yeah, I'll just give you an example. In demand planning, you won't configure more than say 50 to 60 key figures.
Okay.
And that's what I am saying on the higher side. But in IBP, in one of my previous projects, I have implemented 800 key figures.
So 800 different value sets. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. It is so flexible, right? It is so adaptable that you can create as many number of key figures as you want to get the desired result, which you want to get using writing a custom code.
Okay. Okay.
So you don't need custom code for that then.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions, or can we go ahead?
Just one question, side question here. So, so SAP IBP doesn't allow, since it's a cloud. Is it most of the things is locked? You cannot make any modification or like user exits?
No, there is no provision for user exits or anything like that.
Okay. And during the upgrade, I see the upgrade happening every 3 months. And so is it SAP gives any time frame for us to test it before the upgrade? And if anything fails, we need to act on it? Or is it like the upgrade will automatically do on a specific date?
Upgrade automatically do everything on its own. You don't need to do anything. So important thing is every 3 months, this new upgrade happens, right?
Okay.
If you're on customer systems, the customer systems are always given preference. The partner systems are given, less preference than the customer system. So if new release is coming, SAP will update the customer system first, followed by the partner system, right? Like if you're working for IBMs or HCLs, their system would be upgraded later. Customer, now what happens is that when they upgrade customer system, they make sure that it does not screw up the existing implementation, and it won't do anything. And say they upgrade to new platform, they get everything new, but it never screws up the existing platform. But in my experience, I haven't seen that any of the upgrade till now in past 5 years has screwed the customer data. No, never. It never happened.
Okay. Okay. So what SAP has come up with is you can add more key figures and keep your calculations or your custom logics, which is kind of a flexible. Don't try to come up with our core engine where it will hamper the upgrade. So that's the idea behind it, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I think you understood it, because they are not giving access to the core, 4 algorithms, you cannot modify those, right?
Okay.
Hence, because it's all, same behind the screen. You have got key figures, it's fine. Key figure is little, 2 levels up than the code, actual code,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
So they introduce new key figures if they want to bring on some new functionality, new master data types that doesn't impact your existing things. So that's why it never screws up.
Okay.
So Vivek, from a course perspective, so when we are taking course, so we really like to have, exposed more on the, the key figure calculations. Still, it is, it's a phenomenon. We are still, we are using that standard calculation. We are understanding it, but can we get some little more focus on how to write, the macros and the definitions? Are you covering those things in the course?
Yes, I mean, say key figure calculations would be covered. And believe me, key figure calculations here are simple, plain English. It's not like, very complex the way we used to do in the APO world. It's very different.
Correct.
If you have got, a very small exposure to the scripts, the VB scripts, it's easier to understand immediately.
Okay. Yeah. So, but that my concern is you're going to cover those areas, right?
Yes, I would be covering. I will be telling you that, how these calculations are written.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
Okay. Going forward is, as we mentioned earlier, that there is something which is called alerts, right? So you can see your alerts here as well on the dashboard, right? So this is now the alerts can be displayed in 2 different places. Now the alerts can be your planning view specific alert, which are shown here on this particular screen, or they are dashboard alerts, which are shown on web UI. So web UI alert cannot be pulled here, and these alerts which you are populating here, they cannot be pulled into web UI. Okay. I will talk on how to set up these type of alerts. It's very simple. I tell you, I mean, say most of the people who are working on IBP today, they do not know how to set up these alerts. They think that, okay, this is the same alert which is coming from web UI. You have configured there and you are pulling that particular alert here. No, it doesn't work that way. It is native to Excel. It is native to the planning view what you have created for yourself, and it's very good. It's very, very good. Okay. Going forward is this is the place where you create your scenarios, and this is the place where you create your versions. So in IBP, you have your, say as what we have 000 version in APO. In IBP, the active version which is there, which is available there, is called as base version. Now, base version is a version where all the live data resides. Now, on base version, you can create a different simulation version, like upside, downside, or sim1, sim2, whatever you want to create. You can create different versions. On top of these versions, you can create scenarios. Now, scenarios are directly linked to a version which you have created, and scenarios can be created on the fly. You don't need to create scenarios on the web UI. These versions, you need to create it upfront in the web UI before you actually start working or using them in the Excel UI. But scenarios, you don't need to create these scenarios in web UI. You can directly create scenarios on the fly in Excel UI when you are working with it. I will talk in more details that what do you mean by scenario, how they are having advantages over over the version, running the data in version, and how this scenario can give you more value add when you're actually doing the business business implementations. Going forward, this is the place where you see all the existing planning algorithms. The statistical forecasting algorithm, your heuristic algorithm, your optimizer algorithm, your ABC XYZ analysis, all those type of things are here only. You want to copy data from one key figure to another key figure, you can use this copy operator. So there are 2 ways of doing data copy from one key figure to another key figure. One is either by the way of doing key figure calculations. Second, if you don't want to do key figure calculation, you can use this copy operator to copy data from one key figure to another key figure. Right? Going forward this is a place where you do your collaboration stuff. SAP Jam, that comes in handy in this particular place. So you click on collaboration, it will connect to Jam interface behind the screen, and you would be able to see immediately the stuff. This is where you define all the templates which business is going to use. These are all predefined templates. It is not mandatory for business users to use these templates. This is a type of creating a brand image for any of the organization where you are doing IBP implementation. Their specific views, their planning views branded by their logos, their company name, and all those things. So that all those things you do here. Then in the end you have help. Now, very important thing which I haven't covered up till now is how you see your master data in IBP. It's all Excel. You must be having some way to view the master data. So this is a section master data, and at this particular place you see all the existing master data in IBP. And this is a master data which is coming from all the connected system, whether it is S4 or ECC or any other third-party system. Any questions till now?
So I try to alter the master data using the manage. I save the data, but it's still so when during the CP next extract it will be gone, right?
Yes, it will be gone. Yeah. So you have to be very see. That is why it is even in APO days. When you used to work in APOs, you always keep the ECC or S4 system is the system of records. You don't want to create any master data in IBP. It's not required because you're getting all the master data in from IBP or from ECC system. So that is the system of record. IBP is not system of records.
Correct. Yeah.
Right. The only thing, if you want to create some sort of some new data, some new master data you want to create, what you can do is when say if you're sitting on the demand side, what you need to do sometimes is like you need to create dummy product to see that okay, next cycle is my new season and I want to introduce a new product in this particular new season, and you want to create a new master data because you cannot wait for ECC to send the master data because it's still in development phase and you want to do some sort of planning activity. So you can create data in IBP. That's fine. You can create data in specific versions and then you can work with it. It won't be if you have created version specific master data, or if you have activated that checkbox that you can have version specific master data. So that master data would be version specific. You can go in that particular version, create the master data. It won't be overwritten by ECC or S4 master data whenever CPIDS is updating.
Okay. So the best practice is the extraction is always version basis, right?
Sorry?
The best practice is, if you're, say for example, the planning area, it is version specific, correct?
Planning area?
I mean, if you're extracting, say for example, an attribute, right? So the attribute it is tied to a specific version, base version.
Always, everything is in base version.
Okay.
You create your, if you create different version, there you can enable master data.
Okay.
But whatever you are updating from ECC or S4, that will update your base version all the time.
Okay.
Okay.
Quick question here. Can an attribute of a scenario be used for another input for another scenario? Because if you are calculating inventory, let's say a product X inventory is needed after crunching some data, can that be given as an input automatically to another scenario?
I couldn't get your question. Can you please repeat again?
So let's say I'm simulating some demand scenario and I get some value on a inventory situation of a product. Can that be given as an input to another scenario? Is that a possibility, or you have to use and consume the data within that output? Let's say you have an X is an input and Y is an output. Can that Y become an input for something else, for other scenario in the multiple?
Until unless you have saved the scenario, no, it cannot be.
If you say that key figure becomes as a data within the IBP, and something else can also use that as an input?
But that is at scenario specific key figure.
Okay.
I mean, data would be scenario specific. You cannot do cross scenario data calculations.
Okay. Okay. Gotcha.
Right. So, whenever you are creating a scenario, it is created based on the data, I mean, say whatever version you have selected. It is, if you have created a scenario based on base version, it will copy the base version data into a scenario. Now, if you're changing something in the base version, scenario will pick that one up.
Yeah, I mean, that data will be consumed by that scenario itself. What I was saying is, can that data become an input for another scenario
No,
if
that
you
cannot
save
be.
the results? Okay.
No. That you cannot do. I don't know. I mean, so the business case behind it, but I don't think the validity of the same. Why you do it? Because creation of scenario is so easy. You can simply create the scenario and do whatever you want to do with the scenario.
Okay,
While
so
you
meaning that you can create another scenario using these two elements. I got you.
correct. That you can do.
Okay, gotcha. I get it. Yeah.
Okay. And why I have highlighted another Excel ribbon is because whatever is available in an Excel, home, insert, page layout, formula, data, review, view, all the native Excel functionality you can use while you are working with IBP. Okay. Okay. Going. Any questions till now, or can we move forward?
Yeah, we can move.
Okay. I think which slide I am on, because I need to cover 58 slides and we have still reached 9 slides. Okay.
I think we are good on the pace we are going. I don't know how long you want to continue today and the availability of rest of the folks, but I'm happy to what we have learned today so far. And my quick question for you, Kapil, is we just want to have some kind of commitment from trainer as well, that you are committed to complete our course. That's what is general. That's a request from our side. We don't want be left
won't
in
find
middle,
any.
right?
Don't worry on that.
So,
Generally,
yeah,
I don't commit first. First of all, I don't commit, right?
yeah.
If I
So
have committed,
that's okay.
then I always make sure that I complete it.
Yep. Thank you. And I'm glad this is the first session I'm liking so far. I've attended a couple of them, and I'm liking so far. Thank you.
No problems. Thanks for the appreciation. Okay. Going forward, what is new in SAP IBP? Okay. So far, what we have said, what SAP does, it gives you planning model when it is delivering an IBP instance to anyone, right? To whether it is a partner or whether it is a customer, right? So on the screen, what you are seeing here, there are different planning areas which are available: SAP IBP 1, SAP 8, SAP 7, SAP 6, 5, 4S, 4C, 4, and there are a couple of more. Okay. Now what you see here, these are all application specific planning area, and there are two different type of categories here. One is, now I will say, let's see, SAP brought this unified planning area in 2016. Okay. They never knew that how this new planning area, unified planning area approach is going to give them the results in near future. But now it's almost 4 years now, and they have started seeing the advantages or disadvantages of using unified planning area, right? They already, I mean, say right from day one, they had this application specific planning areas as well. So initially, when SAP introduced all these planning area concept, they had SAP IBP 1, SAP 1, SAP 2, which were sales and operations planning with demand and all. Then SAP 2 with supply. Then they have SAP 3, inventory planning. 4, supply planning. 4C is when you are doing collaboration with Ariba and all those things. SAP 4S is a place where you can configure time series based shelf life heuristics. Shelf life planning is not possible in the standard supply planning area. You need to configure it. So SAP has given, just to save the time. You remember, in APO days, there were different SNP planning areas which they have introduced. Safety stock planning has got different planning area, right? For collaboration, there is a different planning area, right? So similarly, IBP also have different planning area for different needs. It doesn't mean that you cannot configure these needs into the planning area which you are configuring for your client. You can configure anything, whatever is available there on these planning area, except for SAP 6, oh, sorry, SAP 7 or SAP 8. Those are very different. Those are new way of working. I will come to that a little later. Okay. Nowadays, SAP has stopped work using SAP 1 or SAP 2. Why I'm saying so, it would be clear on the next slide. So what you see here, time series and order series based planning. What you see first, the process. Now, whatever you are seeing, or this presentation, what I have prepared, every information is available on SAP public domain, right? These are all SAP specific slides. I have just, because generally what happens, you do not know from where to get all this information from. You would be, searching the internet all day and you won't get anything out of it. So I have got access to different SAP sites, and I can get the data from there. It's all public available data. If you know that how to navigate into SAP and get this data, you can get it. Otherwise, I have used SAP data to showcase you everything, showcase you the overview of IBP. Okay, so this slide is available on SAP. You can see it there as well. Now you see, my first process is sales and operations planning. So earlier I used to do SAP 1, SAP 2, that is gone. What SAP is saying, if you want to do sales and operations planning, use SAP 4C. Now what is SAP 4C? Go back one slide. SAP 4C is SAP Business Network Collaboration. So means that if you want to collaborate your SNOP with Ariba network, that is possible in here. So this is the basic one which you can use. Okay, here your supply planning, optimizer, and heuristic both are possible. SAP 6 is used by demand, where you can do statistical forecasting and demand sensing. Inventory planning is SAP 3. You can do inventory optimization. You can run MSIO and SSIO both in here. Control tower is SAP 5. You cannot execute any algorithm in control tower planning area, because control tower is just for the reporting purpose, not to execute any algorithm. Okay. Then you have SAP 8, which is a new way of working. As you know, because we all are from SAP background, you know that MRP 1 concept, MRP 2 concept, ERP concept, all these concepts coming into picture. We know that how these concepts work, how I am going to do my net requirement calculations. DDMRP is very different. It based on buffer levels. It works on buffer levels. You have to define the buffer levels. You need to define the zones, in which zone it is going to work. It is a different way of calculating the demands and supplies, and it is new way of working. That is why it is a different planning area. All these planning area, SAP 4, 6, 3, and 5 are available on SAP IBP 1. So if you implement unified planning area, you will get everything available. The downside of it is, in unified planning area, as per I would say, when they deliver it, it already contains around 430 plus key figures. Now, if you want to create more key figures on top of it, as I mentioned earlier, I created 800 key figures. Client's requirement can go up to n number, right? Now, if you start building up the key figures, it may go up to 1,000 key figures. It may impact the system performance. And then the other thing is, now if say that a demand, there is a new functionality added to a demand planning area, but there is nothing added to the supply side. Now, if I need to implement that into SAP IBP 1, I have to completely take down SAP IBP 1, impacting all the guys, impacting the supply guys, impacting the inventory guys, impacting the control tower guys, because SAP IBP 1 won't be available because it is upgraded with new demand functionality in there. Okay. As per new SAP approach, what they are suggesting, when you are doing an implementation, because why they had this approach now, or I don't know why this SAP IBP 1 approach was preferred earlier, because you was not able to do planning area to planning area copy. the only way you can do planning area to planning area copy is to take a key figure dump into an Excel file format and then upload that Excel file format into the other planning area. That is the only way, and that is compulsive way of working. Nowadays, I mean, say, I think in 2020 releases, what SAP has done, it has enabled planning area to planning area copy, and that is called as advanced copy operator. I can quickly, I just don't want to show my screen because I'm working on the customer system. So legally, I'm not allowed to showcase customer screens, but there is a new app came which is called as Copy Operator Advanced. And in that app, you can do planning area to planning area copy. So now what SAP is saying, instead of using SAP IBP1, use individual planning areas to implement business functionalities. The advantage of that is, now if you want to implement something on demand side, it won't impact anything on supply side. These guys can perform their operations normally. Inventory guys can perform their operations normally. Control tower can perform their operations normally. Hope you got what I'm trying to say you here. Any questions up till now?
So see, for example, if we are starting a new implementation, definitely it is going to be an SAP IBP1 planning area, right? So
they are not recommending it now.
So is it IBP, SAP IBP1 is not the unified planning area?
It is unified planning area.
So they are saying that go away from that approach and try to go back to the initial approach which we had.
They are not saying go away. They are saying we are not recommending. It's up to you. You want to go ahead with unified planning area, you can do that. SAP is not stopping you, and there won't be any system performance at all, if you are going to go with that approach, right? But they are also saying there is another approach available now, is implement specific planning area for specific module. So that way,
because the reason is I like the other approach where you just do the demand planning SAP 6, because you don't want to see more key figures, which is really you are not interested in.
Absolutely. You got me. You're absolutely right.
And if they allow, since the copy functionality is there, you still have the flexibility, but you are looking at a small set of data.
Yeah. And believe me, I am doing implementations. The biggest challenge which I face today is not by when you are configuring or using SAP IBP1. No, it is very easy to use. The challenge comes when you are defining roles for different users, because now you have got, say, if I have not configured any key figure, because I tell you in my recent current implementation which I am doing right now, I have configured 80 key figures, which is on top of existing 430 plus key figures. So it goes up to, say, 550 key figures approximately. Okay. Now, if I want to configure a role for a demand guy, I have got 550 key figures available. So I need to pick up the key figure. Okay, this is the key figure is not relevant for demand. This key figure is relevant for supply. So I need to exclude it. So I need to go through each and every key figure available to see whether this key figure is demand specific or supply specific or inventory specific. Then I define the roles.
So is there any identifier? See, if someone decided, okay, let's go with SAP IBP1, but is there any identifier for if this key figure is for DP and this is for SOP?
Yes. In new releases, I mean, say, I cannot specifically pinpoint which release, but I think somewhere in 2020, they have come up with a new field which is called hashtag. When you are on web UI, when you are configuring a key figure, there is a field called hashtag, and in that hashtag you can maintain, say, demand planning, demand sensing, forecasting, supply planning, heuristic, or anything, whatever you want to.
Yeah, I tried that. It is just like you are grouping by yourself, your own groups. Absolutely. Yeah, I tried that. It was helpful. That field was really helpful.
You're right. So that is the only way you can do it today.
Okay, that sounds good.
Any questions till now?
Yeah, the main reason the hashtag came in is because there are so many things which I'm not using it. I have to muddle through the waters. So I said, okay, let me use my hashtag and see, these are the things which I'm really using for some sort of demo. And I can just see my list. So I was using the hashtag. That was really useful to filter it out.
I agree. Okay, coming back to on the screen, here you see there are two different type of data models. Data model 1 is your time series data model, and data model 2 is your order series data model. Now, order series data model only have SAP is only possible in SAP 7 planning area. It is not possible in any of the other planning area what you see. So if you are integrating SAP 4C with your ECC system, then you are using CPIDS to integrate that. But when you are an SAP 7 side, you are not using CPIDS, you are now using STI for integrating the data into IBP. Right. So you see there we have mentioned integration tool here. On the time series side, you can use CPIDS. On the order series side, you can use STI mostly. If you want to integrate time series data, then you can use CPIDS as well. Any questions till now?
So is it SDI is real time?
To answer your question, no, it is not.
Okay. So how come if there is a big sales order and forecast consumption, these are the real time data, right?
Yeah.
So, but so is it like still goes in batch mode SDI? Is it?
Yes.
Not like core interface where it is really
no, it's not like that's what I'm saying. I mean, say SAP is working on something these days. I can quickly show you at that SAP screen. Give me a minute. Let me just pull that. Give me a minute, because that is publicly available data. So I don't think I have an issue sharing it with you. Okay, what it's going to.
When we say SDI, is it in a file interface or is it an IDOC? What kind of data structure is passed between SAP and this IBP?
I don't get your question. See, in IBP, you do not have a concept of IDOC or something like that.
Right. Okay. So how is the data being passed? Is it through a file or a QRFC, or what kind of handshake is happening between SAP S4 and IBP then in the data integration?
Okay. Sorry, give me 1 minute. I'll answer to your question. I'm looking at the other slide as well, which I want to show you.
Okay.
I'm not finding it at this point, but
I'll
find
okay.
it and I'll share it with you.
That's okay. We can park it.
Yeah.
Later.
I'll show you later on. But what SAP is now working on, whatever data model you are seeing today, whether it is CPIDS or it is SDI, it is based on pull nature. When I say pull nature, means you are defining job in IBP to pull the data from ECC or S4 system. Whereas if you compare it with core interface type of system, core interface was push based. You are creating your integration models in ECC or S4 and sending the data to APO. You are not pulling the data from APO into APO. Now what SAP is doing, they are working on push based data model. And that's what I was saying, they will come up something on that platform, say in 2105 release. But in a very near term reality, that thing is going to be possible. And that's why I said in near term future, it may be possible that you are going to do away with CPIDS completely. It would be then push based data model like core interface as what we used to have earlier. If you have not seen, I will say, by any chance, has any one of you seen SDI?
SDI, no.
I think Kalai, you have worked on demand side, right?
Yeah, so I'm still with working with CPIDS.
CPIDS, okay.
Yeah, okay. But SDI I never exposed to so far. Maybe I need to see. I haven't got any issues from SDI so far.
Okay. I am just quickly sharing one slide with you. I think this one I haven't, put this one in my. This is my client side slide. I will share the details later on. Okay.
Okay.
But there is a I mean, say if you see SDI, what you do nowadays is that you push the data into. I mean, say if you have seen core interface, when you are creating an integration model, it pulls the data into the tables, or it pushes the data into core interface tables on ECC side, right? And from
Yeah.
there, it pushes it to IBP or APO. Similarly, when you see SDI, SDI is pushing the data into SDI tables, which are called as staging tables, and that resides on S4 or ECC side. And then we are pulling the data into IBP from those tables. Now, I would say what SAP approach is saying is they are not saying you to use CPIDS to connect directly to ECC or S4 system. They are saying you connect via SDI, because SDI is same way as you used to work in APO. You create CFM1, CFM2, CFM3. Those type of transactions are available now in SDI. You create your integration models. Okay, and then they are saying integrate your CPIDS to SDI tables where this data is being populated, rather than connecting to the table directly into into ECC system, ECC or S4 system.
Okay.
Hope you understand now.
Yeah.
Okay, going forward. Okay, hold on, let me just go to my presentation back. Okay. Now I'm going to talk on the the process flow, the end-to-end process flow. How you can achieve it in IBP. Again, this particular slide is SAP specific slide. It is available on the public domain. You can go and see this particular slide over there as well. Okay, I have used exactly the same slide here, and I'm just going to explain you based on this one only. Okay, because if I need to create this type of slide, it will take me a couple of hours to create this type of slide. So I thought that whatever existing I have, let's use it. So what you see here is the process flow of unified planning mapped to different IBP applications. So what you are seeing here, short term on the left hand side of the screen, you have execution system, you have got short term planning, you have got mid-term planning, and you have got technical planning. So when you are doing your technical planning, what modules comes into picture is sales and operations planning. Okay, where you are doing financial planning, where you generate your annual operating plan, you bring your all finance people in there, and based on those financial figures, you are creating some annual operating plan, and that plan can be converted to the financial values or the quantitative values immediately there only. So that thing you can do in IBP sales and operations planning. Okay, in sales operations planning, what you can run is forecasting, but not detailed forecasting. You can only run 4 forecasting algorithms in SNOP, not all the forecasting algorithms which are available. They are available, but if you don't have the license of demand, you cannot execute those. Kalai would be able to better tell you on that. Then you have supply, where you can only run heuristic. Then the reconciliation review, where the pre-executive meeting, and then the executive meeting when business process happens, or business management guys come together on single table and then take decisions. Then you have your mid-term operational planning. In this mid-term operational planning, what comes is like IBP demand, IBP inventory, and some part of IBP supply. Okay. Then you have your short-term operational planning, where your response comes into picture. Does this make sense? This particular slide gives you an overview of where you can use different IBP planning areas and how you want to model it. Any questions on this slide till now?
No.
Yeah, this is a detailed one, but when we are taking classes, maybe this is we have a lot of questions though. But
Yeah,
all
no problem.
it's good. Yeah, now we are good.
Okay. Going forward is basically the planning process flow. I'm just giving you one of the implementation where we have done this thing. I'm just giving you some heads up using the same. What you get in the demand in IBP, you do forecasting, right? You do demand planning. Now I'm doing demand planning on weekly basis, okay? And I do demand sensing on daily basis. Now I want to do demand sensing for the next 4 weeks, but I want to do demand planning on weekly basis. Then what I do, I send this demand planning when my SNOP cycle starts. The results of this demand planning, what I'm doing on the weekly basis. In the SNOP planning, it is getting aggregated to the monthly level, and the SNOP managers are able to view this data. And when I say SNOP planning, I am not saying that I am doing planning for this month or next month. I am saying I am doing planning for, say, month +1 or month +2. Okay, there I am seeing monthly aggregated data, and that data I want to run my SNOP plan on. All the financial inputs for the market inputs, sale input comes at that level and aggregated. So this is there you create your consensus demand based on different inputs what you receive. Then on the weekly side, you also do inventory optimization run. Now the input to inventory optimization run is a weekly forecasting run. So whatever weekly forecasting you have generated, whatever stat forecast or you can say local level consensus demand you have generated, you can release that demand to inventory planning run so that you can generate your proper safety stock levels. Then you send this safety stock level to supply planning. In supply planning, you run your heuristics at the monthly level, or you can run at the weekly level. It depends on you. It depends on the business requirement, right? And you will constrain the demand. So there are 2 different algorithms available. Now there are 3 different algorithms available. One is heuristic, one is finite heuristic, and third one is optimizer. For sure, you cannot use optimizer here, but you can now use heuristic, which is unconstrained heuristic, which is going to generate overloads, and you would be able to see the overloads. Now, in order to mitigate those overloads, in order to generate a finite plan, you can execute finite heuristic as well. And that finite heuristic, I am not sure though, but I think it is part of SNOP license, but I will check and get back to you on it. Then you do pre-SNOP meeting and then the executive review meeting. And once that thing happens, then you release everything for the operational planning and then to the execution systems.
So
in
I
the
have,
end,
in the past, Kapil, the optimizer, one of the customer, maybe it is an older version though, but it was running almost 10 hours. Is it still the case nowadays, since you are working with multiple customers?
Optimizer and IBP for 10 hours.
Yeah. That was
I don't think.
I don't know the current state, but
No, I have heard of. I'm in IBP from quite a long time now. In my 5 years of experience, I haven't heard getting optimizer running for this much long.
okay.
At the max, I have heard about 2 hours. Optimizer is running, not more than that.
Okay, gotcha.
That was APO days. When optimizer is running for 10 hours, I have seen those cases with my own eyes. In fact, I implemented in one of my previous clients in New Zealand where we implemented CTM. Our solution was running for say 14 hours a day.
Oh yeah.
So now when we try to implement optimizer, it was even worse. But in IBP, I would say the situation is not like that. It is faster. It is definitely faster. And then there is an advantage here. The advantage here is subnetwork planning. That subnetwork was not part of APO in any of the APO algorithms. Subnetwork is a key field for the algorithm in IBP. You want to use it, you can use it. If you don't want to use it, just don't maintain anything in the subnetwork. But if you maintain it, you can divide your problem or your problem statement into smaller subnetworks, and then you can plan those subnetworks individually. And when you do that, your optimizer results is the performance is increased many times, many folds.
So to apply the optimizer, definitely we need a inventory module in IBP, correct?
No.
It's not
Inventory optimization is different. Supply optimization is different.
Okay.
Both are very, very different. Okay. Okay. Then in the end, what you see is the visibility alerts and the performance management that you do in control tower. So that's why it is sitting on the top. Now what we are going to do, we are going to focus on IBP for demand. So let's go to IBP for demand planning. But up till now, any question on this?
No, but you said you were going to take a break. When is it?
I think I dropped the idea because my son is not going anywhere.
Okay, I was planning for that break. Okay.
Oh, it's already 2 hours now. I mean, so do you want to continue, or we can schedule a session for tomorrow? Naveen?
I need a break, definitely. I just run from the morning. I haven't had my breakfast yet. So I don't know about others. How about
Yeah, I think so my thought is maybe we can wind up today. So basically Kapil, so we understood you have a very good knowledge in the background, definitely, so we can benefit from your training. This session, yeah, we can keep, maybe we can do it next week, starting next week, maybe covering the remaining subjects, and we can also start the real training. So that's my view. How about
So we need to work on the date and the schedule first. That's what's the day works for everybody. Okay. Is it Saturday or Sunday, or is it weekday, Friday evening, or whatever it is? So let's work on a specific stipulated schedule. And
my problem is I cannot do on weekdays.
Okay.
Today, I mean, say because I have got current commitments where I need to deliver a project by mid of next month. So for sure, till mid of next month, I cannot do on on weekdays. I can do on Saturday, Sunday only.
Okay. So can
Friday,
we keep
I'm
it on
not very
Sunday?
inclined.
Is it possible? Because
Sunday is fine. Sunday is absolutely fine.
Yeah. Okay.
So Kapil, that we can collaborate. You can send your available time cards on week ends. Then we can also. It may be a 2-hour session. You're okay for that, right? So or maybe it depends on your availability and our availability. We can go as much as possible. Then
and yeah. Just to reiterate what Kalai or Sudhakar said is, we just want to have one trainer end to end. The reason is I have done some training before, and in between there were 2 trainers came in, and we were completely lost. We don't want to have that experience. That is the main thing which I'm also looking at it, which Sudhakar also told. So we want to have one trainer, even okay, say you are not able to make it for 1 week, we can wait, and we want to complete end to end instead of toggling between multiple people.
Yeah.
No, I understand.
Is that true, Kalai?
Yeah, I think Kapil already declared, he's going to commit for this training. I think, that's a good news for us.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I would say before
he said he's going to, he committed, he's going to cover this training. Yeah.
Generally, I mean, so my approach is always, see, I am doing this training almost after almost a gap of 2 years, because I got so much consumed with my commitments with clients. Okay. I couldn't find time. But then I thought that because this is one of my area where I want to go in, the education side. So I love it. So I think that if I am getting knowledge from different implementation, it's always good for me to impart that knowledge to different guys, because then I come in contact with different people, because they can bring different business requirements. They can talk to me, and then probably I can suggest solutions around it, and it will enhance my knowledge as well. That is the approach which generally I go with. So I'm restarting this thing, but my idea is always that if I have taken or if I have committed anything, I always try to fulfill that commitment. I don't fall
Yeah.
back.
Also, Kapil, we have our own training system. The system are you planning to use your system, or should we be using our
I will
system?
suggest if you have your own training system, if you share the detail with me on that training system, we can create data on that, and then you can play with that data as and when required. Because then it would be, a type of a type of a sample planning area available, which you can always look at, and then go back, create your own planning area, and then do things on there.
Yeah, so we have SAP best practice, Kapil, but we cannot share the user IDs. That's the security issue. But during the classes, definitely, screen share, take control. Is that okay for you?
That should be absolutely fine. No problem with it.
Okay.
Kalai, do you have all the modules there, or what is it in that
Yeah,
best
we
practice?
have everything. Yeah, it's a best
You have
practice.
everything. Okay.
And
So
our
which one?
objective is to get trained, actually, the certification and beyond. I mean, Kalai and Kailash are a little advanced. I'm a fresher for this area. I will catch up, pretty sure. But you might be, so please be tolerant with some some different questions. So just I'm trying to catch up.
Well, I think that's okay. The only point is sometimes things get a little annoyed when people start comparing the places where they are working, that how they are going to model this thing in their places. We are doing training here.
Right. Yeah.
I am to train you people on how you can use the expertise, your expertise in, or in collaboration with IBP, and deliver something to your client. But I cannot tell you,
Yeah.
okay, this is how you are going to model it in the training sessions.
Yeah, understand. We will not ask any customer-specific solutions or any kind of consulting thing. We are here to learn and ask general
Yes.
questions from the educational background. We can bring our past experience. We have done this before, but we will not request for your solutioning
It
or
is always
consulting.
good. It is
Yeah,
always
we,
good,
we
because
are
if
mature enough to
someone,
handle that. No
yeah,
worries.
if you get your past experiences, because I also love to hear different people, experiences, what they have gone through, what different clients are saying. It's always, love to have that type of background.
So
It's always good.
the reason I asked is, say for example, we had a CTM for apparels and footwear, and we did some kind of user exits and kind of a modification enhancements to it.
You are working for apparel and footwear.
Yeah, before, not now.
That is one of my core areas.
Okay, so that's why I'm asking how when they keep upgrading the product, what happens to our enhancement? That was coming, and then you said, okay, we need to handle it in a different way. So I'm
don't
trying
worry.
to.
I mean, so that type of thing, if you want, insight to what SAP is bringing on with respect to AFS, apparel and footwear, with respect to, IS oil, is there anything, and with respect to production wheel, are they coming up with some sort of functionalities in IBP? Yes, I will love to discuss all these things.
Yeah,
That's good.
yeah.
The other thing is, Kapil, so we have the certificate. Our aim is, at the end of the day, we are going to get certified. So the training materials and your perspective is towards that certification. Is that right?
I'm sorry, can you repeat your question again? I'm very
If
sorry.
you go to the IBP website, so they're saying, okay, 10% from planning area, 10%, 15% from, they ask questions, right?
Oh, you're talking about the certification type.
Correct.
So, Kapil, the question Kalai is asking is, once we go through the training, are we be sufficient enough to take the certification? We were able to answer the certification questions. That's the Kalai approach he's asking. So, after doing the training, he should be enabled to take a certification.
See, I can give you some sample questions what they will ask. Okay, because me myself is certified on IBP. So I can tell you what question they will ask. Okay, but I tell you one thing: if we are in this particular training, whatever they have written in their material, 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, I cannot cover all those parts. I can give you practical knowledge of it, that practically how this thing is done in system. Now, if SAP is asking a question in some specific word and there is some specific answer to it, I don't know how to address that.
Yeah. So what we are saying is we will get a practical knowledge, understanding, but still we need to be able to read that documentation, because that's what SAP will ask. We may not cover that, right?
I can tell you one thing for sure, that when you are going in IBP certification, almost 80% of the question is around planning area configuration. Okay. Even if they have mentioned okay, this is with respect to some application or something like that, but even in that particular application, they are going to ask you specific to planning area configuration, because that is something which is core to IBP. See, the architecture of IBP is very different from the architecture of APO. It's very, very different. And my other sincere advice to all you guys is never compare APO with IBP. If you take that approach of comparing APO with IBP, then you won't learn it.
Yeah, it requires a lot of unlearning instead of we start fresh. That is better.
So my suggestion to all you guys is forget APO. You have any questions in your mind? I understand. I respect your experience. I respect your knowledge. They are fine at that particular place, but IBP is a different ballgame.
Yeah, that's
need to pick up at that level.
We already decided we are going to come up with a clean slate, and we are going to listen to you definitely. So that helps us a lot to understand, and without any.
See, my background is also APO. Sometimes I also go in the comparison mode and start comparing IBP with APO. Whenever I feel that there is a comparison existing, I will definitely let you know. Okay, this is what you do in IBP and you do in APO. This is how different things are being seen, or how both the algorithms are giving you different results. That I can share. That I don't have any issues.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Even the nomenclature is very difficult because if you have to do APO to IBP, you have to unlearn. There we start with characteristics and then navigation attributes. Here it starts with attributes, which is completely a upside down approach. If you try to do that, it is becoming very difficult to unlearn and do it. It's better to start fresh, forget about it.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you.
Yeah, I already done that exercise and burnt my fingers.
Which one?
Yeah. So Kapil, thank you so much. Nice.
Before you go away, before you all guys go away, just a sincere, remark from you. Are you happy with the contents of the training, the way it is delivered, and the way the contents are structured?
Yeah, yeah. I want more. I think this is just a basic start. I think I loved it, but I want more screen time on the system. That way, a fresher like me can correlate the things and can try the things out. This function, the logical concept, I get it, but I want to have more system time if it is possible in the actual training.
Yeah, I would say this is just the overview sessions what we are doing today.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Going further on
only the overview session till now. I have just covered 14.
It's so good actually. Yeah. Yeah. So far so good. We loved it. Definitely, I'm signing up for it. And let's start from next week as soon as possible.
So we three are signing up, and I'm going to ask a couple of other. Actually, we started with 6, 7. I'm going to ask other people, telling about you, so to see their interest. Then I will let Naveen and you know about that. But right now, next week, all 3 are ready.
Okay. Right, Naveen, you there? I don't see Naveen here.
Yeah. So we have a WhatsApp group, so we can confirm those things. Yeah.
Okay, no props. Right.
All right.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for being a little patient.
Have a good day. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.